Have you ever stopped to consider what happens when one half of society decides they've had enough and quietly begins building a world that no longer includes the other half? It might sound extreme at first, but take a closer look at the shifting dynamics between men and women today, and you'll see a profound change unfolding right before our eyes, one where men are stepping back from traditional interactions and creating their own paths forward. This isn't about anger or revenge, it's about choosing peace, self preservation, and independence. After years of navigating increasingly complex and often one sided expectations. And here's the part that will keep you watching until the very end. By the time many realize the full scope of the shift, entire economies, social structures, and future generations could be irreversibly transformed. If you're finding value in this kind of straightforward discussion on Angry Guy content, go ahead and hit that like button. Share this video with others who need to hear it. Subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell to select all so you get every single new video the moment it's released. Also, make sure to check out Angry's Crypto Academy if you're serious about learning how to protect and safeguard your assets while growing your wealth in smart ways. The Academy covers everything you need to know about how to buy, sell, and trade crypto effectively, and it's all linked right in the description below. So head over there now and get started. And if these Angry Guy videos are hitting home for you and helping you see things more clearly, one great way to show your support is by buying me a Red Bull through the link in the description. It keeps the energy high and the content coming strong. Let's dive deeper into this global trend that's reshaping relationships and society itself. It all starts with observing the quiet but unmistakable withdrawal that's happening among men worldwide. In places like South Korea, for instance, what began as efforts toward greater equality evolved into intense conflicts that pushed men to respond in ways that fundamentally altered the landscape. Women there highlighted issues like persistent advances being labeled as harassment, leading to policies that limited how many times a man could express interest before it crossed into legal risk. Men, facing these new realities, adapted by simply limiting their efforts dramatically, agreeing to strict boundaries, and ultimately reducing pursuit altogether to avoid any potential complications. This wasn't about defiance. It was about protecting their own well being in an environment where good intentions could too easily be misinterpreted. Similarly, in workplaces, when accusations of gatekeeping opportunities arose, men shifted priorities towards supporting and competing among themselves, creating more balanced but separate professional networks. Even in entertainment, calls for removing certain types of humor led to broader changes that stripped away elements many enjoyed, leaving spaces less engaging overall. The result has been a steady decline in mixed gender interactions, with men finding fulfillment in male focused communities and activities instead. This pattern extends far beyond South Korea. It's evident in Japan, China, the United States, and many other nations where birth rates are falling, not primarily because women are opting out, but because men are increasingly choosing solitude or alternative paths over traditional relationships. Consider the projections for the United States. By 2030, around 45% of women aged 25 to 44 are expected to be single and without children, according to analyses from sources like Morgan Stanley. And when factoring in other family structures, that figure climbs significantly higher for women overall. These numbers reflect a broader reality where men are prioritizing their own peace and financial stability, leading to fewer marriages and families. Men have discovered that living independently brings rising savings rates, improved mental clarity, and overall higher satisfaction, especially in challenging economic times. Single men today, are reporting greater happiness and financial security than in previous generations, often because they adopt minimalist lifestyles that allow them to invest wisely and avoid unnecessary expenditures. One of the most visible outcomes of this shift is the growth of the manosphere, a vast online and offline network tailored specifically for men's interests, challenges, and growth. What started as niche discussions has expanded into mainstream content, with creators who once focused on finance, gaming, or mathematics now dedicating significant time to exploring gender dynamics and male specific issues. Channels and personalities that analyze relationships through logical frameworks, like applying mathematical models to behavior patterns, have gained massive followings because they offer clear, evidence based insights that resonate with men's experiences. Gaming communities, too, have evolved to address how industry changes impact male audiences, fostering spaces where men can connect without external pressures. This isn't about exclusion for its own sake. It's about building environments where men feel understood and supported, free from constant scrutiny or competing narratives. At the same time, technology is accelerating these changes in profound ways. Young men are forming meaningful connections with AI companions, which provide consistent, judgment free interaction that many find preferable to the uncertainties of modern dating. This trend is growing rapidly, with AI chatbots offering customization and availability that traditional relationships often lack. In parallel, platforms like OnlyFans are facing disruption as AI generated content becomes more sophisticated, potentially shifting how men engage with adult entertainment over the next few years. Men are no longer willing to invest heavily in pursuits that feel unbalanced or risky, turning instead to innovations that align with their desire for control and simplicity. Economically, this withdrawal is creating ripple effects that touch every part of society. Men traditionally cover the majority of taxes while also funding most consumer spending through dates, gifts, and shared expenses, particularly in areas like dining out, entertainment, and upscale experiences. As men reduce these activities, industries reliant on couple based spending, such as restaurants, bars, and clubs, are experiencing declines. Upscale venues that once thrived on men treating partners are seeing less traffic, while everyday spots fill with groups of single individuals who spend more conservatively. Gyms, too, have felt the impact. Many men have opted for home workouts or private male only facilities after navigating uncomfortable dynamics in mixed spaces, leaving commercial gyms struggling to maintain membership numbers that were historically bolstered by male participation. Beyond consumer sectors, new economies are emerging that operate outside traditional systems. Networks built around cryptocurrency, skill sharing, bartering, and preparation for future uncertainties. These decentralized spaces allow men to collaborate, trade value directly, and build wealth without relying on conventional jobs that may soon be automated. Women, unfortunately, are finding themselves outside these networks as men prioritize transactions with those they trust implicitly, often charging higher rates or declining altogether when approached from outside their circles. This isn't personal animosity, it's a natural outcome of men protecting the peace they've found and ensuring their efforts benefit reliable partners. When men do seek companionship or adventure, many are looking abroad to regions where cultural values still emphasize mutual respect, fitness, and traditional femininity. Places like the Philippines or other parts of Southeast Asia, where lower costs of living combine with warmer social dynamics to allow Western earning men to live comfortably and enjoy fulfilling lives. These international moves highlight a preference for environments free from the tensions prevalent in many Western societies. As artificial intelligence advances and automates more jobs, men are uniquely positioned to pivot quickly into remote, creative, or entrepreneurial roles that thrive in decentralized systems. Their natural tendencies toward minimalism and survival oriented thinking saving rather than spending extravagantly, investing in skills and tools give them an edge in navigating these changes. Women, who often face different societal pressures around consumption and support, are discovering the challenges of relying on systems that are increasingly strained without male participation. Hey guys, in a world pushing you to own nothing and be happy, crypto is your key to survival. Join Angry's Crypto Academy to master buying, selling, and trading crypto. Make huge profits and safeguard your wealth. Plus, discover the one crypto virtually no one is talking about, poised to create new millionaires in the upcoming bull run. The link is in the description of the video below. Go check it out now. This entire transformation stems from a simple response. After decades of messages encouraging men to step back, combined with movements that highlighted risks in interactions, men listened and walked away. They found that solitude brings clarity, financial freedom, and emotional stability they hadn't experienced before. The state, which many women turn to for provision through programs and policies, now faces revenue shortages as men work smarter hours, pay fewer taxes overall, and build parallel systems. Consequences that were warned about years ago are now materializing, not as punishment, but as the logical result of choices made on both sides. Looking ahead, these parallel ecosystems will only strengthen. Men are investing in home based solutions for fitness, community, and income while preparing for economic shifts through practical skills and networks. Spaces that once mixed genders are simplifying or separating naturally, leading to more focused but divided experiences. The adult industry, nightlife, and even everyday services like home repairs are adapting to a world where men interact selectively, often at premium rates for those outside their trusted circles. What we're witnessing is a fundamental rebalancing driven by men's pursuit of peace and self reliance. It's not reversible overnight because the benefits for men, higher savings, better health, stronger brotherhoods, are too substantial to abandon. Society as a whole will need to adapt, perhaps through honest dialogues about mutual respect and shared responsibilities. But until then, men are continuing to build worlds that work for them. The story of the shift did not happen overnight. It built over years of small decisions, accumulated frustrations, and a growing awareness among men that they had options they never fully exercised before. Think back to the cultural messages that dominated the last 2 decades. Men were repeatedly told they needed to change, to listen more, to step back, to make space, to examine their privileges, and to accept new boundaries without question. Many men took those messages seriously. They adjusted their behavior, became more cautious in workplaces and social settings, and worked hard to be respectful allies. But over time, a pattern emerged where good faith efforts were still met with suspicion, where normal interactions could be reframed as problematic, and where the goalposts kept moving further away. Eventually, a significant number of men reached a simple conclusion. If stepping forward carries risk and stepping back is encouraged, then stepping back entirely might be the healthiest choice available. And once they made that choice, they discovered something unexpected. Life without constant negotiation, without walking on eggshells, without the pressure to provide while being criticized, was remarkably peaceful. Savings accounts grew, mental health improved, friendships with other men deepened, hobbies flourished. For the first time in years, many men felt in control of their own lives. This peace became addictive in the best possible way, and men began sharing their experiences online, in podcasts, in private groups, and through content creators who spoke directly to their realities. What started as scattered conversations turned into a robust network of support that reinforced the benefits of independence. Men learned from each other how to manage finances without the drain of shared expenses that often favor one side disproportionately. They exchanged tips on building home gyms that eliminate the need for commercial spaces filled with distractions or uncomfortable dynamics. They discussed strategies for remote work, side businesses, and investments that allow freedom from traditional office politics. They talked openly about the relief of no longer chasing approval or validation in romantic contexts that felt increasingly stacked against them. This network, often called the manosphere, though it encompasses far more than online forums, became a parallel education system teaching men how to thrive on their own terms. Creators who once focused solely on video games now dedicate episodes to analyzing how industry decisions alienate core audiences, building loyalty among viewers who feel seen for the first time. Finance channels that used to cover stocks and real estate now weave in discussions about protecting assets in a world where family courts and social expectations can erode wealth overnight. Even niche experts applying logic and data to relationship patterns gain massive followings because they offer clarity in a sea of mixed messages. Meanwhile, traditional institutions that relied on male participation began to feel the strain. Universities, for example, have seen male enrollment drop steadily over the past decade, with women now making up the majority of students in many countries. Men are increasingly questioning the value of degrees that come with high debt and uncertain job prospects, especially when alternative paths like trade skills, entrepreneurship, or tech certifications offer better returns with less risk. Trades such as plumbing, electrical work, and construction remain overwhelmingly male dominated. And as men focus on serving their own networks first, wait times lengthen and costs rise for everyone else. A single woman calling for home repairs today often faces quotes significantly higher than what a male client might receive, not out of spite, but because professionals prioritize familiar clients who value their time and pay promptly without complications. This market reality reflects a broader principle. When trust erodes in general interactions, people naturally gravitate toward those they know and understand best. The economic implications extend even further when you consider consumer behavior differences. Studies consistently show that single men spend less and save more compared to their coupled counterparts, while household spending often increases dramatically when women are primary decision makers for purchases. Men tend toward functional, long term investments, tools, vehicles, technology upgrades, while much discretionary spending on fashion, beauty, home decor, and experiences historically flows through relationship dynamics where men cover the majority of costs. As those dynamics fade, entire retail sectors feel the pinch. High end restaurants that once thrived on date nights now struggle to fill tables midweek. Nightclubs that marketed heavily to mixed groups find weekends dominated by all female parties who buy fewer drinks overall. Event planners for concerts and festivals notice shifts in ticket buying patterns as men opt for male focused gatherings or solo entertainment at home with streaming services and gaming setups that cost far less over time. This is not a coordinated boycott. It is the organic result of millions of individual men choosing where to allocate their resources based on personal fulfillment rather than social obligation. Technology amplifies this trend at an accelerating pace. Artificial intelligence is not just replacing jobs, it is reshaping how men meet needs that were once fulfilled through relationships. AI companions offer conversation, emotional support, and customization without the unpredictability of human interactions. Early adopters report higher satisfaction because these systems learn preferences quickly and never introduce drama or conflicting expectations. In adult entertainment, AI generated content is advancing so rapidly that industry analysts predict significant displacement of human creators within a few short years. Platforms built around exclusivity and high earnings for women may find their business models disrupted as consumer preferences shift toward unlimited, cost effective alternatives. Men who once spent heavily on subscriptions or dates now redirect those funds into investments, travel, or personal development, creating a compounding effect on their wealth. Travel itself has become a major outlet for men seeking balance. Countries in Southeast Asia, Latin America, and Eastern Europe offer not only lower living costs, but cultural environments where mutual respect between genders remains the norm. Men earning Western salaries can stretch their income dramatically while enjoying social scenes that feel welcoming rather than adversarial. They build lives abroad, often remotely working for companies back home or running online businesses, and share their stories through channels that inspire others to consider similar paths. This expatriate wave contributes to brain drain in Western nations while boosting economies in destination countries that welcome productive newcomers. Women in origin countries notice the absence of these high earning men in local dating pools, creating a feedback loop that reinforces the original decision to leave. Back home, the infrastructure built on assumptions of male provision begins to creak. Government programs expanded over decades with the expectation that male taxpayers would continue funding them indefinitely. Yet, as men work smarter rather than harder, choosing remote roles, freelance contracts, or entrepreneurial ventures that minimize tax exposure, the revenue base shrinks. Entitlement spending grows while the productive cohort paying the bulk of taxes optimizes away from overwork. Single childless men have fewer incentives to remain in high tax jurisdictions, and many relocate to states or countries with more favorable policies. The result is a slow but steady erosion of funds available for initiatives that disproportionately benefit women, from welfare expansions to university subsidies. Politicians scramble to address budget shortfalls, but solutions that involve asking men to return to traditional roles fall on deaf ears when those men have already found better alternatives. Preparation and self reliance have become central themes in male communities. Men stockpile resources, learn practical skills, and build networks for mutual aid in uncertain times. They discuss food storage, water purification, power generation, and community defense, not out of paranoia, but prudent planning. These preparations often exclude outsiders by design, focusing on tight knit groups where trust is earned over time. Women attempting to join similar movements frequently find barriers because the foundational trust simply is not there after years of cultural messaging that framed men as potential threats rather than partners. Men extend help readily to other men, sharing knowledge freely within brotherhoods, but extend caution outward. This dynamic ensures survival networks remain strong and cohesive. Fitness culture reflects the same separation. Commercial gyms marketed heavily to women with classes and aesthetics that sometimes made men feel secondary or scrutinized. In response, men invest in home equipment or join private facilities that cater exclusively to male clients. These spaces foster camaraderie, focused training, and mentorship without distractions. The result is better physical outcomes for men and declining revenues for chains that failed to maintain balanced environments. Health markers for single men improve as they prioritize sleep, nutrition, and consistent training free from external pressures. Mental health conversations among men have also transformed, where once seeking help carried stigma, now open discussions about therapy, meditation, and lifestyle optimization are commonplace in male spaces. Men credit their improved well being to removing sources of chronic stress, chief among them navigating modern relationship expectations. Suicide rates, historically higher among men, show signs of stabilization in demographics, embracing independence. The data suggests that peace of mind comes not from endless accommodation, but from clear boundaries and self prioritization. Looking forward, the trajectory appears set for continued divergence. As automation eliminates routine jobs, men pivot faster into creative, technical, or decentralized roles because they carry less financial baggage, no dual income assumptions, no pressure to support dependents. Women entering the workforce later or facing interruptions find themselves competing in markets already shifting toward flexibility that favors unencumbered individuals. Crypto economies, creator platforms, and skill marketplaces thrive on male participation while filtering out bad actors through reputation systems that reward reliability. Women struggle to gain entry when trust signals are harder to establish across divided lines. The ultimate irony may be that the very movements intended to empower women by reducing reliance on men have accelerated a reality where men no longer feel needed in traditional capacities. When provision, protection, and partnership become optional rather than expected, men choose optionality every time. They build lives rich in freedom, brotherhood, and purpose without looking back. Society adapts slowly, but the adaptation will likely involve recognizing that mutual benefit requires mutual respect, not one sided demands. Until that recognition arrives broadly, men continue walking their own path, and the distance between parallel worlds grows wider each day. This separation is not born from hatred, but from exhaustion, followed by discovery of something better. Men tried the prescribed changes, found them lacking, and then found fulfillment elsewhere. The peace they gained is real, measurable in rising net worth, better health, stronger friendships, and clearer minds. Reversing the trend would require addressing root causes that drove the withdrawal in the first place, causes many still deny or minimize. In the meantime, men keep building, keep saving, keep connecting with each other, and keep choosing peace over conflict. The world they create may be separate, but it is undeniably functional and increasingly prosperous for those within it. The momentum behind this quiet revolution shows no signs of slowing as we move further into the decade, because the incentives for men to maintain their new way of life only grow stronger with each passing year. Consider how the landscape has evolved since the early warnings first appeared in online discussions and independent media. What was once dismissed as fringe thinking has now become mainstream observation, backed by demographic data, economic reports, and visible changes in everyday environments. Birth rates continue their decline across developed nations, not because of some sudden wave of women rejecting family life en masse, but because the pool of men willing to commit to traditional structures has shrunk dramatically. Men have weighed the costs financial, emotional, legal, and temporal, and found that the rewards no longer justify the risks. Instead of fighting to reclaim a system that feels rigged, they build alternatives that serve their interests directly. This is not a coordinated conspiracy. It is millions of individual men making rational choices that align with their own well being. And those choices compound into societal transformation. One of the clearest markers of the shift appears in the changing composition of social spaces. Bars and nightclubs that once pulsed with mixed crowds now often feature lopsided demographics. Groups of women waiting for attention that rarely arrives, while men gather elsewhere in private venues, home setups, or interest based meetups that exclude external drama. Venue owners adapt by shifting marketing toward ladies' nights and discounted entry for women, but the underlying economics remain challenging. Drinks flow less freely when the traditional payers opt out. Cover charges rise to compensate, pricing out even more potential patrons. The cycle reinforces itself. Fewer men mean less spending, which leads to higher costs, which drives away more men. Similar patterns play out in other entertainment sectors. Concert promoters notice declining ticket sales for artists targeting young mixed audiences, while events geared toward male hobbies, car shows, gaming conventions, combat sports thrive with loyal, high spending crowds. The market responds to demand, and demand increasingly comes from men investing in experiences that deliver pure enjoyment without social negotiation. Housing trends tell a parallel story. Single men, unburdened by the need to accommodate partners or future children, gravitate toward efficient, low maintenance living arrangements. Minimalist apartments, tiny homes, converted vans, and shared houses with trusted male friends become popular choices. These setups minimize expenses while maximizing freedom. Mortgage applications from single men focus on properties suited to solo or small group living, workshop space, high speed internet, proximity to outdoor activities, rather than family oriented suburbs with large yards and multiple bedrooms. Real estate agents report shifts in buyer profiles, with young men prioritizing investment potential and personal utility over resale appeal to families. Developers respond by creating more studio and one-bedroom units in urban centers, while suburban builders face slowing sales for larger homes. The ripple effect touches school funding, local taxes, and community planning as areas built around family growth confront shrinking enrollment and changing revenue needs. Education systems feel the impact most acutely at the higher levels. Male enrollment gaps widen year after year, with women earning the majority of degrees in most fields outside STEM and trades. Young men increasingly view college as a poor return on investment, especially when loan debt can follow them for decades while job prospects remain uncertain. Instead, they pursue accelerated paths, coding boot camps, apprenticeship programs, certifications in high demand trades, or direct entry into entrepreneurship. Online learning platforms explode with male users mastering skills like digital marketing, software development, blockchain technology, and content creation. These paths offer flexibility and immediate earning potential without the ideological overlay many associate with traditional campuses. Universities the attempt to attract men with STEM outreach and sports programs, but the broader cultural perception lingers. Higher education often feels like a space where male students must navigate extra scrutiny. As a result, the talent pipeline for certain professions tilts female, while male dominated trades and tech niches strengthen their hold. Workplace dynamics evolve accordingly. Remote work, accelerated by recent global events, allows men to design lifestyles around productivity rather than presence. They accept roles that pay well for focused output, then log off to pursue personal projects. Side businesses flourish, e commerce stores, trading portfolios, content channels, consulting gigs, all built during evenings and weekends. Tax optimization becomes second nature, maximizing deductions, choosing business structures that minimize liability, relocating to lower tax regions when feasible. The traditional 9 to 5 grind loses appeal when alternative models deliver similar or better income with far greater autonomy. Companies dependent on in office male talent struggle to fill roles, offering ever larger signing bonuses and perks that still fail to entice those who value freedom above all. The great resignation and subsequent quiet quitting waves disproportionately involved men recognizing they could achieve financial goals with less effort and stress. Financial independence movements gain traction almost exclusively among men. Concepts like FIRE, financial independence, retire early, resonate deeply because single men face fewer expenses, and can save aggressive percentages of income. Frugality forums, investment groups, and wealth building challenges fill with participants sharing strategies for compounding wealth quickly. They track net worth milestones, celebrate debt elimination, and plan exits from conventional employment by their 30s or 40s. Women attempting to join these communities sometimes encounter skepticism born from differing spending priorities and life stages, reinforcing the parallel nature of the ecosystems. Men support each other through accountability partnerships, shared resources, and mentorship, creating flywheel effects where early achievers guide newcomers towards similar success. Cryptocurrency and decentralized finance play starring roles in this financial reorientation. Blockchain networks operate 24/7, borderless, and permissionless, allowing men to build wealth outside traditional gatekeepers. They stake assets, provide liquidity, develop protocols, and trade opportunities that legacy systems overlook. Crypto communities form tight knit groups where reputation matters and contributions earn respect. Why women enter these spaces in smaller numbers, partly due to risk tolerance differences, partly due to network effects favoring early male adopters. Conferences, Discord servers, and governance forums reflect male majority participation, solidifying the culture. As central banks grapple with inflation and currency debasement, men holding hard assets like Bitcoin or productive tokens position themselves for generational wealth transfer. The knowledge gap widens. Those inside the ecosystem compound advantages while outsiders rely on outdated advice from mainstream finance media. Health and longevity become deliberate pursuits. Men invest in home laboratories of sorts, blood work panels, supplements, wearables tracking sleep and recovery. They experiment with protocols for optimizing testosterone, managing stress, and extending health span. Saunas, cold plunges, red light therapy, and peptide research circulate through dedicated channels. Gyms built in garages or basements feature power racks, barbells, and functional equipment tailored to serious strength training. Nutrition shifts toward whole foods, intermittent fasting, and meat heavy diets that support muscle maintenance and mental clarity. Annual physicals reveal improving biomarkers, lower blood pressure, better cholesterol ratios, reduced inflammation. The contrast with broader population trends, rising obesity, chronic conditions, mental health crises, highlights the benefits of focused self care without external distractions. Travel evolves beyond occasional vacations into lifestyle design. Digital nomad visas proliferate as countries compete for remote workers bringing foreign earnings. Men secure these visas, establish bases in affordable paradise locations, and structure lives around seasons. Summer in Europe, winter in Southeast Asia, spring exploring Latin America. They document journeys through photography, writing, and video, inspiring followers to replicate the model. Tax advantages compound. Spending time in low tax jurisdictions reduces overall burden while quality of life soars. Local economies benefit from steady spending on housing, food, and experiences, creating win win dynamics. Women in high cost Western cities notice the absence of these mobile, high earning men, further compressing local dating markets. Creative output flourishes in this environment of reduced pressure. Men channel energy once spent navigating relationships into art, music, writing, and invention. Podcasts multiply, covering everything from philosophy to practical skills. Books self published on platforms like Amazon reach devoted audiences hungry for unfiltered perspectives. Music produced in home studios finds listeners through algorithmic recommendation. Inventions born from personal need, tools, apps, workflows solve problems and generate passive income. The creator economy rewards consistency and authenticity, qualities men cultivate in abundance when free from external validation seeking. Patronage models like subscriptions and direct support replace advertising dependence, aligning incentives directly between creator and audience. Community building takes on new forms. Men form intentional groups, masterminds, adventure clubs, skill sharing circles, meeting regularly for hikes, workshops, or strategy sessions. These gatherings prioritize trust, accountability, and mutual growth. Initiation often involves vetting to ensure alignment of values and reliability. Outsiders rarely gain entry without strong referrals, preserving the sanctity of the space. Annual retreats in remote locations deepen bonds through shared challenges and reflection. The sense of brotherhood rivals or exceeds historical fraternal organizations, but without rigid hierarchy or outdated rituals. Members report higher life satisfaction, lower loneliness, and stronger support networks than in mixed social circles. Political awareness sharpens as men recognize how policy impacts their choices. They track legislation around family law, tax policy, education funding, and conscription risk. Voting patterns shift toward candidates promising limited government and individual rights, and activism focuses on specific issues. Reforming divorce settlements, protecting free speech online, reducing regulatory burden on small businesses. Lobbying efforts remain grassroots but effective through coordinated messaging and donor networks. The goal is not domination, but preservation of the freedom to opt out. When politicians appeal directly to women with promises of expanded benefits, men respond by further minimizing their taxable footprint, creating a feedback loop that constrains government growth. Parenting dynamics change for those men who do choose family. They seek partners abroad where cultural compatibility aligns with desired roles, or they structure relationships with clear prenuptial agreements and shared values up front. International families grow, with children raised bilingual and bicultural, often in lower stress environments. Men who remain single express contentment with uncle roles, mentoring nieces, nephews, or younger friends without the full weight of daily responsibility. Legacy shifts from biological offspring to knowledge transfer, business succession, or charitable impact. The definition of meaningful contribution expands beyond traditional metrics. As artificial intelligence matures, men lead adoption in personal and professional spheres. They deploy tools for automating routine tasks, generating content, analyzing investments, and enhancing productivity. Early advantages compound as those comfortable with technology pull further ahead. AI companions evolve into sophisticated partners for conversation, planning, and emotional regulation. Virtual reality spaces offer immersive experiences tailored to individual preferences. The boundary between digital and physical interaction blurs, with men curating environments that maximize enjoyment and minimize friction. Women reliant on legacy social structures find adaptation slower, widening capability gaps. The cumulative effect approaches a tipping point where parallel societies operate with minimal overlap. Men thrive in decentralized, trust based networks emphasizing competence and reliability. Resource allocation favors those within the circle, with market rates or outright exclusion for outsiders. Economic resilience grows through diversification, multiple income streams, tangible assets, practical skills. Vulnerability decreases as dependencies on fragile systems shrink. Women face increasing isolation from these resilient networks, left navigating declining institutions with diminishing male support. Calls for men to return and rescue ring hollow when the benefits of independence remain so tangible. This new equilibrium, while stark in its separation, emerges from natural human incentives responding to changed conditions. Men did not abandon society out of malice. They withdrew from arrangements that no longer served them after repeated signals to do so. The peace, prosperity, and purpose they discovered proved too valuable to relinquish. Future generations will inherit a world shaped by these choices, perhaps one that eventually finds new balance through honest reckoning, or perhaps one that solidifies into lasting divergence. For now, men continue forward, building with intention, connecting with purpose, and guarding the hard won tranquility that defines their path. The foundations of this new reality solidify with each passing season as men refine their systems and deepen their commitments to lives built on self reliance and mutual support among brothers. What began as individual acts of withdrawal has matured into structured, resilient communities that operate parallel to the old world, often invisible to those still embedded in traditional expectations. Men gather in person and online to exchange knowledge on everything from advanced investment strategies to wilderness survival techniques, from optimizing health protocols to navigating international residency options. These exchanges happen in encrypted chats, private forums, invite only events, and weekend retreats deep in nature where phones stay off and real connections form. Trust builds slowly but endures deeply, creating bonds stronger than many family ties because they rest on shared values and proven reliability. A man who shows up on time, delivers on promises, and contributes without demanding special treatment earns lifelong allies. Those who fail that test find themselves politely excluded, ensuring the group's integrity remains intact. This intentional community building extends to economic cooperation on a scale rarely seen before. Men pool resources for group investments, buying land collectively for off grid compounds, funding startup ventures launched by members, or creating lending circles that bypass banks entirely. Interest rates stay low or non existent within the network because default risks minimize among vetted participants. Profits cycle back into the community, funding scholarships for young men learning trades, supporting members through temporary hardships, or acquiring more assets that appreciate over time. Bartering networks expand beyond simple skill swaps into sophisticated credit systems where hours worked or goods provided translate into future claims on others' expertise. A plumber fixes a brother's roof today, knowing he can call on that brother's mechanical skills years later without cash changing hands. These arrangements scale efficiently because participants share aligned incentives, long term prosperity over short term extraction. Real estate becomes a cornerstone of this strategy. Groups purchase rural properties with cash raised collectively, transforming them into self sufficient hubs featuring solar power, well water, gardens, workshops, and training facilities. Residents live lightly, modular homes, shipping container conversions, earth sheltered buildings, minimizing costs while maximizing utility. Communal areas host gyms, saunas, firing ranges, and classrooms where skills pass from experienced members to newcomers. Young men arrive seeking mentorship and leave equipped with trades, financial literacy, and survival knowledge. Women rarely appear in these spaces, not due to explicit bans in most cases, but because the culture prioritizes male bonding and focused skill building without social distractions. Those few who do visit often sense the mismatch and depart quickly, reinforcing the natural separation. Urban counterparts emerge in the form of male only co living houses or apartment buildings quietly converted through member ownership. Roommates vet potential additions carefully, ensuring compatibility in lifestyle, cleanliness, and contribution. Shared expenses drop dramatically. Bulk food purchases, group gym memberships, collective streaming accounts, while individual privacy preserved through sound design and mutual respect. Evenings fill with strategy sessions on market opportunities, book discussions on history and philosophy, or collaborative content creation that monetizes shared insights. Productivity soars in environments free from external drama, leading to rapid career advancement or business growth that further funds the collective vision. Skill acquisition accelerates within these ecosystems. Apprenticeships revive in modern farm. Experienced electricians teach wiring and solar installation. Welders train fabrication techniques. Mechanics pass engine rebuilding knowledge. Coding cohorts form where senior developers mentor juniors through real projects that generate revenue from day one. Language immersion groups prepare members for international moves, focusing on practical conversation in target countries, firearms training, first aid certification, and wilderness navigation round out curricula designed for comprehensive self reliance. Certification matters less than demonstrated competence. A man who can reliably start a generator in freezing conditions or diagnose network failures under pressure earns respect that opens doors across the network. Health optimization reaches new heights through shared experimentation and data tracking. Members pool blood work results anonymously to identify patterns, supplement stacks that boost energy, fasting protocols that enhance clarity, recovery methods that extend training capacity. Biohacking equipment circulates, red light panels, hyperbaric chambers, DEXA scanners for body composition. Challenges circulate, 30-day carnivore trials, 100-day cold exposure streaks, building discipline and camaraderie through shared struggle. Mental resilience trains alongside physical. Stoicism study groups, meditation circles, journaling practices that process emotions without external venting. The result manifests in visible transformations, leaner physiques, sharper focus, calmer demeanors that radiate quiet confidence. Financial education permeates every level. Young men enter the network wide eyed about money and leave masters of compounding. Mentors walk them through opening brokerage accounts, selecting index funds, timing crypto cycles, structuring side businesses for tax efficiency. Debt elimination celebrates as major milestones. Student loans paid off, credit cards shredded, mortgages refinanced or avoided entirely. Net worth tracking becomes communal sport, with leaderboards celebrating consistent savers rather than flashy spenders. Generational wealth strategies discuss openly. Trusts that protect assets, life insurance ladders, offshore structures where legal. Knowledge once gatekept by elite advisors democratizes across the Brotherhood, leveling playing fields dramatically. Creative expression channels the surplus energy once drained by relational navigation. Music studios and basements produce albums that resonate with millions online. Documentary films expose hidden truths about society, earning revenue while spreading awareness. Novels exploring male experience in modern times climb bestseller lists through grassroots promotion. Visual art, photography exhibitions, even comedy tours built on unfiltered observation find eager audiences tired of sanitized content. Revenue streams diversify, patronage platforms, merchandise lines, speaking engagements at private events. Creators support each other through cross promotion and collaborative projects, building media empires independent of legacy gatekeepers. International networks strengthen as expatriates connect across borders. Men in Thailand link with counterparts in Colombia, sharing visa updates, cost of living comparisons, local contact recommendations. Group houses open in popular destinations, Chiang Mai compounds, Medellin penthouses, Bucharest apartments, offering instant community for newcomers. Language barriers dissolve through shared purpose and English as lingua franca. Cultural exchange enriches everyone. Local cooking classes, martial arts training, festival participation grounded in respect rather than exploitation. Long term residents mentor fresh arrivals on avoiding common pitfalls, scams, burnout, isolation, ensuring high success rates. Families form organically with local women who appreciate the stability and provision these men offer, creating blended households that blend traditions harmoniously. Back in origin countries, the absence grows ever more noticeable. Professional services feel the shift first. Tradesmen prioritize jobs for known clients, leaving strangers waiting weeks or paying premiums. Legal fields specializing in family matters see caseloads drop as fewer men enter marriages without ironclad protections. Medical practices note declining male patients for stress related conditions, while elective procedures for performance enhancement rise. Retail adapts painfully. Stores targeting female consumers consolidate or close, unable to offset lost revenue from male discretionary spending. Luxury brands, once reliant on gift purchases, reposition towards self purchasing women, but conversion rates disappoint. Entire malls' anchor tenants depart, leaving ghost corridors echoing with promotional desperation. Government services strain under mismatched expectations. Programs designed assuming continued male overwork face funding shortfalls as effective tax rates on single men decline through legal optimization. Infrastructure maintenance delays lengthen. Roads pothole ridden, public transit unreliable because the workforce skews toward essential private contracts over public bids. Emergency response times stretch in some areas as experienced personnel retire early or relocate. Politicians promise solutions targeting symptoms rather than causes, further alienating the demographic whose participation once sustained the system. Calls increase for mandatory service or higher taxation on singles, proposals that accelerate exodus rather than reverse it. Educational institutions confront existential questions. Declining male enrollment threatens program viability in fields requiring critical mass. Administrators introduce incentives, scholarships, mentorship programs, relaxed admissions, yet cultural perceptions persist. Alternative education explodes. Trade schools overflow. Online academies focused on practical outcomes thrive. Self directed learning communities multiply. Parents of sons increasingly choose homeschooling or hybrid models that avoid ideological conflicts. The talent pipeline bifurcates. One path leading to credentialed but indebted graduates competing fiercely, another to skilled, debt free practitioners commanding premium rates in private markets. Media landscapes fracture along similar lines. Legacy outlets struggle with shrinking male viewership, pivoting harder toward female demographics with predictable content formulas. Independent creators fill the void, building direct relationships with audiences through platforms that reward authenticity. Advertising dollars follow attention, starving old media while enriching new voices. Algorithms amplify this divergence, serving tailored content that reinforces chosen realities. Public discourse splinters into echo chambers, but within male spaces, conversation remains remarkably open, debate encouraged, weakness admitted, growth pursued collectively. Spiritual exploration deepens for many. Traditional religious attendance declines, replaced by personal practices or small fellowships emphasizing direct experience over institutional mediation. Stoic circles study ancient texts applied to modern challenges. Meditation retreats focus on presence and emotional mastery. Psychedelic integration groups process insights under experienced guidance. Nature becomes cathedral. Backpacking trips, hunting camps, ocean voyages reconnecting men with primal rhythms. Meaning derives from internal alignment and service to brothers rather than external validation or doctrinal conformity. Parenting evolves for those choosing family abroad. Children grow up fluent in multiple languages, comfortable across cultures, grounded in clear roles and responsibilities. Fathers teach sons practical skills early, fire building, tool use, financial basics, while modeling calm strength and provision. Daughters learn from mothers who value partnership and mutual respect. Discipline emphasizes natural consequences over arbitrary punishment, building intrinsic motivation. Education blends local schooling with homeschooling supplements focused on critical thinking and real world application. Outcomes show promise. Confident, capable young adults entering the world with advantages their monocultural peers lack. Legacy planning matures beyond mere wealth transfer. Men document life lessons in private journals passed to chosen successors. Mentorship chains extend across generations, ensuring hard won wisdom survives. Charitable trusts fund scholarships for promising young men from difficult backgrounds. Land holdings preserve for future community use, protected through legal structures that endure. Digital archives compile knowledge bases, technical manuals, philosophical essays, historical analyses, accessible only to verified members. The goal shifts from individual immortality to collective continuity, ensuring the way of life persists even as founders age. Technological integration accelerates every aspect. Artificial intelligence tools manage investments, optimize health protocols, automate content creation. Virtual reality training simulates scenarios from public speaking to emergency response. Augmented reality overlays enhance real world skill practice. Blockchain ledgers track internal credits transparently. Drone networks monitor rural properties. Starlink connectivity enables remote participation from anywhere. Early adopters gain compounding advantages, pulling further ahead while sharing gains within the network. Late entrants find catch up curves steep but navigable through structured onboarding. Global events reinforce the wisdom of decentralization. Economic shocks highlight fragility of centralized systems, supply chain disruptions, currency volatility, energy grid failures. Those with diversified assets, practical skills, and trusted networks weather storms calmly while others panic. Natural disasters test preparedness plans, validating years of investment in resilience. Geopolitical tensions underscore benefits of mobility and multiple residencies. Each crisis converts more observers into participants, swelling ranks organically without recruitment drives. The psychological shift completes itself quietly. Men who once carried unspoken burdens, provider pressure, emotional suppression, constant vigilance, now walk lighter. Laughter comes easier in male company. Vulnerability shares without fear of exploitation. Achievement celebrates collectively rather than competitively. Solitude embraces as recharge rather than loneliness. Romantic desire channels selectively, often internationally or digitally, never desperately. Self respect becomes non negotiable. Boundaries firm but fair. The internal narrative rewrites from I must earn worth through service to I am worthy as I am and choose where to invest my energy. Women navigating the changed landscape face hard truths gradually. Professional networks once mixed grow leaner on male mentorship. Social venues echo with absence. Government support strains under reduced contributions. Family expectations meet resistance from sons embracing independence early. Media portrayals ring increasingly hollow against lived reality. Some adapt by seeking personal growth, skill development, financial literacy. Others double down on demands that yield diminishing returns. A few bridge gaps through genuine respect and alignment, finding partnership on new terms. Most experience isolation proportional to prior expectations of unilateral provision. Society at large approaches inflection. Institutions either evolve toward mutual benefit or continue decline through inertia. Cultural narratives shift slowly as data accumulates. Healthier, wealthier, happier single men versus struggling traditional structures. Policy debates acknowledge trade offs openly for first time in decades. International examples contrast sharply. Nations encouraging family formation through balanced incentives versus those relying on extraction seeing exodus. Outcomes clarify over time, guiding future choices. Men, meanwhile, continue building. Each improvement, stronger body, larger savings, deeper bonds, sharper skills, reinforces the path. Regret rarely surfaces because evidence of better living surrounds daily. Freedom tastes sweeter with each year. Purpose derives from mastery and brotherhood. Peace guards jealously as most precious resource. The world they create may remain separate, but it functions beautifully on its own terms, sustainable and expanding, a living testament to what becomes possible when men choose themselves without apology. This way of life, forged through conscious withdrawal and intentional construction, stands resilient against external pressures because its foundation rests on internal alignment. Men walk forward together, not in lockstep, but in harmony, supporting without smothering, challenging without dominating, achieving without exploiting. The road ahead stretches long, paved with continued learning, shared victories, and quiet satisfaction of lives well lived. The trajectory of this transformation continues to accelerate as we move deeper into the latter half of the decade, with men refining their approaches and expanding their influence in ways that solidify the parallel structures they have built. The communities that started as loose networks of like minded individuals have evolved into sophisticated ecosystems with clear entry points, shared protocols, and long term visions that span decades. Men now plan not just for their own lifetimes, but for the continuity of the lifestyle across generations, ensuring that the knowledge, resources, and values they have cultivated remain accessible to those who prove worthy of them. Young men entering these spaces find structured onboarding, reading lists, skill assessments, mentorship pairings that accelerate their growth while filtering for seriousness and compatibility. The result is a merit based culture where contribution determines status, not credentials or background. A 20-year-old who masters welding and consistently shows up for group projects earns more respect than a 40-year-old with degrees but unreliable follow through. This dynamic creates rapid upward mobility for dedicated participants and maintains high standards across the board. Economic resilience becomes the defining feature of these networks as global uncertainties mount. Men diversify income streams aggressively. Primary remote employment, multiple side businesses, passive investments in crypto and real assets, rental income from strategically purchased properties. Risk spreads across jurisdictions, bank accounts in stable countries, assets held in trusts, precious metals stored privately. Supply chain disruptions teach hard lessons, prompting investment in local production. Community machine shops fabricating parts, hydroponic systems supplying fresh produce, small scale energy projects reducing grid dependence. Food security prioritizes through hunting clubs, fishing cooperatives, and farming partnerships with trusted rural members. Preservation techniques, canning, dehydrating, smoking, revive as practical skills taught in weekend workshops. The mindset shifts from consumer to producer. Every member identifies ways to add value rather than merely consume resources. Education within these systems focuses relentlessly on practical outcomes. Curricula emphasize mastery over certification. Build a functional website before discussing theory. wire a solar array before studying electrical code, negotiate a real deal before reading sales books. Learning happens through doing, with immediate feedback from experienced practitioners. Failure celebrates as data rather than shame, encouraging iteration until competence achieves. Theoretical discussions reserved for evenings around campfires, where philosophy, history, and strategy explore deeply without pressure to perform. Classics return to favor. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Miyamoto Musashi applied directly to modern challenges. Historical case studies dissect rises and falls of civilizations, extracting patterns relevant to current shifts. Critical thinking sharpens through structured debate. Claims must support with evidence. Assumptions challenge openly. Conclusions revise as new information emerges. Physical training evolves into comprehensive warrior scholar models. Strength programs build on progressive overload with periodized cycles for peak performance. Endurance develops through rucking long distances with loaded packs, simulating real world demands. Mobility work prevents injury through daily routines, blending yoga principles with functional movement. Combat sports, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, boxing, wrestling, teach controlled violence and emotional regulation under stress. Marksmanship trains methodically from basic safety to advanced tactics. The goal transcends aesthetics. Create bodies capable of hard labor, defense, and survival while maintaining health into old age. Recovery optimizes through sleep discipline, nutrition precision, and active restoration like hiking or swimming in natural water. Mental fortitude cultivates through deliberate discomfort. Cold exposure protocols, ice baths, winter camping build tolerance for adversity. Fasting challenges extend from 24 hours to multiple days, training metabolic flexibility and impulse control. Silence retreats enforce no speaking for set periods, deepening self awareness. Physical labor projects, building structures by hand, clearing land, digging trenches, combine exertion with purpose. These practices strip away modern distractions, revealing core character and forging unbreakable resolve. Men emerge calmer under pressure, decisive in crisis, unflappable amid chaos that paralyzes others, and financial mastery reaches advanced levels. Compound interest leverages through decades of consistent saving and reinvestment. Tax strategies employ legally across multiple jurisdictions. Residency in low tax locations, business entities minimizing liability, charitable contributions optimizing deductions. Estate planning begins early. Revocable trust protecting assets, life insurance funding succession, digital wills securing crypto keys. Generational transfer prepares meticulously, teaching children or chosen successors through hands on involvement rather than theoretical lectures. Wealth views as tool for freedom, not status symbol. Flashy displays discourage while quiet abundance enables options. Creative pursuits flourish as outlets for refined energy. Writing becomes primary medium. Detailed essays on observed dynamics, practical guides for skill acquisition, fictional works exploring alternate futures. Publishing happens independently through platforms rewarding direct audience connection. Photography documents journeys, remote landscapes, community projects, personal transformations, building visual archives of the lifestyle. Music creation ranges from acoustic campfire songs to electronic productions in home studios. Film projects grow ambitious. Documentaries interviewing elders about historical shifts, narrative features depicting plausible near futures. All media focuses on authenticity over polish, resonating deeply with audiences seeking truth amid noise. International expansion accelerates as more men secure second residencies or full relocations. Popular destinations develop established communities. Bali compounds blending work and surf. Portuguese golden visa networks. Paraguayan land holdings for privacy. Infrastructure improves. High speed internet. Private schools for children. Medical clinics catering to expats. Cultural integration emphasizes respect, language learning, local custom observance, economic contribution through business creation. Relationships form with women who value traditional dynamics without Western entitlement overlays. Children grow up adaptable, resilient, appreciative of stability their fathers provide. Technology adoption stays pragmatic rather than trendy. Tools evaluate for real utility. Does this software save significant time? Does this device enhance security? Does this platform enable better connection? Artificial intelligence integrates deeply, automating research, generating code, analyzing markets, drafting content. Virtual reality trains skills from public speaking to tactical scenarios. Augmented reality assists real world tasks like repairs or navigation. Privacy protects fiercely. Encrypted communication standard, hardware wallets for crypto, minimal digital footprints. Innovation focuses on sovereignty, open source alternatives to corporate controlled services, decentralized platforms resisting censorship. Health research conducts informally but rigorously. Members track biomarkers obsessively. Hormone panels, inflammatory markers, metabolic indicators. Protocols iterate based on aggregated data. Testosterone optimization through lifting and sleep. Gut health via fermentation and fiber. Cognitive enhancement through nootropics and meditation. Longevity strategies blend proven basics, strength training, cardiovascular work, social connection, with emerging interventions like peptides or targeted supplements. Annual gatherings feature guest experts sharing latest findings, debated openly before adoption. The goal: extend high quality lifespan while maintaining vigor and independence, and social dynamics refine into clear norms. Direct communication values above passive aggression, issues addressed promptly and honestly, accountability enforces through peer pressure rather than authority. Leadership emerges organically. Those who consistently deliver earn influence without titles. Conflict resolves through structured discussion. Facts presented, perspectives heard, solutions proposed. Forgiveness extends for genuine remorse. Second chance is rare for repeated unreliability. Loyalty rewards generously. Members facing hardship find immediate support. Financial loans, labor help, emotional presence. Family formation for participants follows deliberate paths. Partners select for shared values: fitness, frugality, respect for male leadership balanced with female input. Prenuptial agreement standard, clarifying expectations up front. Children raised with clear roles. Fathers model provision and protection. Mothers nurture and educate. Discipline consistent but fair, emphasizing personal responsibility. Education blends formal schooling with hands-on to on learning. Chores teach work ethic. Money management starts early. Critical thinking encouraged through questioning. Outcomes show disciplined, capable young adults entering the network seamlessly. Legacy consciousness grows stronger. Elders document experiences extensively. Video interviews, written memoirs, skill demonstration recordings. Knowledge preservation becomes sacred duty, ensuring hard lessons not repeat. Land trusts establish for perpetual community use, governed by member councils. Scholarship funds support promising outsiders who demonstrate alignment. Mentorship chains formalize. Each experienced man commits to guiding several younger ones through life stages. The vision extends centuries. Maintain enclaves of freedom and competence amid whatever broader society becomes. External observation shifts from dismissal to concern to reluctant acknowledgement. Media outlets once mocking the trend, now publish worried analyses. Declining marriage rates, shrinking tax base, male happiness metrics rising inversely to societal dysfunction indicators. Policy proposals range from incentives for family formation to outright coercion, none addressing root causes effectively. Academic studies proliferate, often concluding need for male re-engagement without recognizing why disengagement occurred. Public discourse polarizes. Some demonize the withdrawal as selfish. Others quietly envy the reported quality of life. Women's adaptation varies widely. Some pursue intense self improvement, fitness, career ambition, financial independence. Others demand systemic rescue through expanded government programs. A minority seek genuine understanding, approaching male spaces with humility and respect, occasionally earning entry through proven value. Most experience growing isolation. Dating pools shrink to narrow slivers. Professional networks lose male allies. Social venues feel empty. Economic pressure mounts as costs rise without traditional offsets. The reality settles gradually. Choices have consequences, and consequences compound over time. Institutional decay accelerates in absence of male maintenance. Infrastructure crumbles faster. Bridges unrepaired, power grids vulnerable, public services strained, educational outcomes decline as discipline erodes without male role models. Crime patterns shift, reflecting demographic imbalances. Cultural output grows increasingly disconnected from broad audiences. Innovation slows in fields requiring risk tolerance and long term focus. The contrast sharpens, resilient parallel networks thriving quietly while legacy systems manage controlled decline. Men within these networks observe developments with detached clarity. Emotional investment in old systems fate minimal. Energy directs toward building rather than critiquing. Compassion exists for individuals suffering consequences, but not for ideologies that created them. Focus remains internal. Improve daily practices, strengthen bonds, prepare for future challenges. Debates center on optimization, better energy solutions, more efficient governance models, smoother onboarding for newcomers. Spiritual depth increases with age and experience. Practices vary. Christian fellowships, pagan revivals, secular stoicism, but share emphasis on transcendence and service. Rituals mark transitions. Coming of age ceremonies for young men completing training, annual remembrance of founding principles, seasonal celebrations tying to natural cycles. Connection to something larger provides meaning beyond material success. Gratitude practices anchor daily life. Morning reflection on blessings. Evening acknowledgement of brother support. Physical spaces expand strategically. Additional compounds acquire in diverse climates, mountain retreats for summer training, desert properties for winter warmth, coastal holdings for water access. Infrastructure matures. Private airstrips, robust communication arrays, medical facilities with member doctors. Sustainability prioritizes permaculture designs, feeding residents year round. Water catchment systems, ensuring independence, waste recycling, closing loops, expansion paced carefully, growth managed to preserve culture rather than dilute it. Global connectivity strengthens through private networks. Satellite internet bypasses local censorship. Encrypted mesh systems enable communication during outages. Annual international gatherings rotate locations, bringing far flung members together for collaboration and celebration. Cultural exchange deepens understanding across nationalities while reinforcing shared male values transcending borders. The psychological freedom becomes profound. Men live without constant background anxiety of judgment or exploitation. Decisions flow from internal compass rather than external pressure. Time allocates based on genuine priority rather than obligation. Relationships form from strength rather than need. Achievement tastes sweeter, earned through personal effort. Rest feels deserved rather than stolen. The contrast with previous lives stark. Many describe awakening from long sleepwalking. Future scenarios discuss openly but without fear. Best case, broader society learns from example, rebalancing toward mutual respect and shared responsibility. Worst case, continued decline met with fortified independence. Most likely, sustained divergence with occasional crossover by those choosing alignment. Preparation covers all possibilities. Skills, universal. Assets, portable. Networks, global. Children raised within this world grow up confident and capable. Sons learn provision and protection early. Daughters, where present, absorb complementary strengths. Education emphasizes truth seeking over conformity. Critical thinking sharpens against diverse viewpoints within safe boundaries. Physical competence baseline expectation. Financial literacy starts with allowance management. Emotional regulation taught through example and practice. Outcomes: young adults entering world debt-free, skilled, connected, purposeful. The movement matures into quiet institution. Principles codify without rigidity. Personal responsibility, brotherly loyalty, continuous improvement, peaceful separation. Transmission happens through living example rather than preaching. Influence spreads osmotically. Men observing from outside, drawn by visible results, health, wealth, happiness, freedom. Time validates choices made years earlier. Early adopters now enjoy fruits, financial independence, robust health, deep friendships, meaningful legacy work. Regret absent, only appreciation for courage to walk away when walking away required. Younger generations inherit refined systems standing on shoulders of pioneers. The story continues unfolding, written daily through actions of millions, choosing sovereignty over subjugation, peace over conflict, building over begging. The path narrows but strengthens, paved with intention and reinforced by results. Men walk it together, eyes forward, burdens light, futures bright. What did you think about the points discussed in this video? Do you agree with the observations on these shifting dynamics, or do you see things differently? Leave a comment below sharing your thoughts. As I read them all and appreciate hearing different perspectives. Like the video if you like it, don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away, and cheers.
Nothing says you care like crypto. Nothing can compare. Nothing says you care like crypto. Oh, nothing can compare to crypto.